committed to protecting the confidentiality of his patients and to protecting their safety, their health, and their well-being. And so we represented those patients in trying to block the turning over of their medical records to the grand jury. And ultimately, as Dr. Tiller always had faith in, justice did prevail, and the Kansas Supreme Court quashed the subpoenas that were in place, substantially limited them, and allowed only very limited information and none of the patients' names or any identifying information to be turned over to the grand jury.
I wanted to play a clip of Bill O'Reilly. Dr. Tiller was vilified in the right-wing media, which often called him Tiller the baby killer. According to Salon.com, Fox News host Bill O'Reilly mentioned Dr. Tiller on 29 episodes of his program, The O'Reilly Factor, often with scathing attacks. This is an excerpt of an O'Reilly broadcast from June of 2007.
No matter what you think about the abortion issue, you should be very disturbed by what continues to happen in Kansas. This man, Dr. George Tiller, known as Tiller the baby killer, is performing late-term abortions without defining the specific medical reasons why. Let's be more blunt. Tiller is executing fetuses in his Wichita clinic for $5,000, and records show he'll do it for vague medical reasons. That is, he'll kill the fetus viable outside the womb if the mother wants it dead. No danger to the mother's life, no catastrophic damage if the woman delivers. Now, some Kansas politicians want to stop the madness, but incredibly, Governor Kathleen Sebelius is protecting Tiller. Citing privacy, the governor vetoed a bill a few weeks ago that would have forced Tiller to provide a specific medical reason for destroying a viable fetus. Now, America's a great country, but this kind of barbaric display in Kansas diminishes our entire nation. Tiller has killed thousands of late-term fetuses without explanation. And Governor Sebelius is allowing him to continue the slaughter. How the governor sleeps at night is beyond me. There are Americans who believe that babies that are about to be born are not human beings. How they form that conclusion is interesting. There are only a handful of doctors in the USA who will perform late-term abortions for any reason, because doctors know viable life when they see it.
That was Bill O'Reilly in 2007. Dr. Shelley Sella, you're standing outside the Reformation Lutheran Church where Dr. Tiller was gunned down yesterday in church. He served as an usher in his church. Your response to Bill O'Reilly?
Well, I think I'd like to respond by quoting Dr. Tiller. And what he has often said was, women are spiritually, morally, and intellectually capable of struggling with complex ethical decisions and arriving at the correct decision for themselves and their family.
Dr. Shelley Sella, you provide late-term abortions, certainly very controversial. Your thoughts about this?
My thoughts about
late-term abortions.
Late-term abortions?
Yes.
Well, I am completely in harmony with Dr. Tiller's view that, just as I quoted him, and I think that there will always be a need for abortion. There will always be a need for first trimester abortion, second and third trimester abortion.
Bonnie Scott Jones.
And the important thing is to provide that service.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Sella.
And I think it's important to provide that service competently and compassionately, and that is exactly what Dr. Tiller did.
Well, can that term, late-term abortion, let me put that to you, Bonnie Scott Jones. What does it mean?
Well, it's actually a term without a defined meaning. I mean, there is no meaning. There are first trimester, second trimester abortions. There are third trimester abortions, some of which are pre-viability, some of which are post-viability. Dr. Tiller, I mean, I just want to make a point that the clip is utterly false, in that investigators over and over again, grand juries of Dr. Tiller's peers, found that he was innocent, that he performed his abortions in compliance with the law. What the law permits in terms of post-viability abortions are abortions to protect the woman's life or health. I just want to say that what I hope Dr. Tiller's tragic death will awaken in our policymakers and in the public is a recognition that enough is enough. We as a country have to stop tolerating the villainization of abortion providers. Abortion is a significant part of healthcare in this country. It will continue to be. 1 in 3 women will seek abortion services in their lifetime. It's part of healthcare. And we cannot allow the villainization of abortion providers. The doctors who provide those services must be respected and protected, not villainized, not ghettoized, not segregated, and not subject to conditions that would be considered utterly intolerable in any other area of medicine. So I really hope this is a wake-up call to our lawmakers and our government to come forward and protect these doctors.
I wanted to read an excerpt from the Kansas City Star that just came out. It says, the suspect in custody for the slaying of Wichita abortion doctor George Tiller was a member of an anti-government group in the 90s and a staunch opponent of abortion. Scott Roeder of Merriam, Kansas, a Kansas City suburb, was arrested on Interstate 35 near Gardner in suburban Johnson County, Kansas, about 3 hours after the shooting. Tiller was shot to death around 10 a.m. inside the Reformation Lutheran Church in Wichita. In the rear window of the '93 blue Ford Taurus that he was driving was a red rose, a symbol often used by abortion opponents. On the rear of his car was a Christian fish symbol with the word Jesus inside. Those who know Roeder said he believed killing abortion doctors was an act of justifiable homicide. And it quotes Regina Dinwiddie saying, I know that he believed in justifiable homicide. She's a Kansas City anti-abortion activist who made headlines in '95 when she was ordered by a federal judge to stop using a bullhorn within 500 feet of any abortion clinic. She said, I know he very strongly believed that abortion was murder and that you ought to defend the little ones, both born and unborn. Roeder also was a subscriber to Prayer and Action News, a magazine that advocated the justifiable homicide position, according to David Leach, an anti-abortion activist in Des Moines, Iowa. Leach said he met Roeder in Topeka when he went there to visit Shelley Shannon, who was in prison for the 1993 shooting of Tiller. Roeder, who in the 90s was a manufacturing assemblyman, also was involved in the Freemen movement. Again, I'm continuing to read from the Kansas City Star. Freemen was a term adopted by those who claimed sovereignty from government jurisdiction and operated under their own legal system, which they called common law courts. Adherents declared themselves exempt from laws, regulations, and taxes, and often filed liens against judges, prosecutors, and others, claiming that money was owed to them as compensation. In April '96, Roeder was arrested in Topeka after Shawnee County Sheriff's deputies stopped him for not having a proper license plate. In his car, officers said they found ammunition, a blasting cap, a fuse cord, a 1-pound can of gunpowder, and 2 9-volt batteries, with one connected to a switch that could have been used to trigger a bomb. Morris Wilson, commander of the Kansas Unorganized Citizens Militia in the mid-'90s, said he knew Roeder fairly well. He said, I'd say he's a good old boy, except he was just so fanatic about abortion. He was always talking about how awful abortion was, but there's a lot of people who think abortion is legal. In recent years, someone using the name Scott Roeder has posted anti-Tiller comments on various internet sites. One post dated September 3rd, 2007, and placed on a site sponsored by Operation Rescue called ChargeTiller.com said Tiller needed to be stopped. It went on to say, it seems as though what's happening in Kansas could be compared to the lawlessness which is spoken of in the Bible. Tiller is the concentration camp Mengele of our day and needs to be stopped before he and those who protect him bring judgment upon our nation. I'd like to ask Ellie Smeal, president of the Feminist Majority Foundation, to respond.
Well, it's breathtaking. Of course, he's wrong in so many ways, but you notice he doesn't believe in, when he was in the Freemen, whatever that is, society, in any laws. And here, Dr. Tiller followed the law. He was investigated repeatedly, and he didn't do all these clips which says he's wantonly doing things. It wasn't true. He was doing it because it was necessary for the life and health of the woman, and he was very careful physician. We have a fairy tale going on, Amy, that there aren't troubled pregnancies, that every fetus has a brain. I mean, some do not. What I mean that is they don't have a head that's developed. To carry that to term would only hurt the woman. We pretend that women don't have cancer when they're pregnant, and that the carrying it to term will kill her. We pretend. I'll never forget him telling me about a woman who he brought, had to fly in from Manhattan. She was a doctor's wife, and yet she had a fetus that was growing a tumor that would not only kill her, it would kill the fetus, and there was no there was no possibility of survival, but he saved her. Why, in a civilized society, would it be necessary to fly her in from Manhattan? We have allowed ideologues to ignorantly discuss these things, and we have to have doctors, and he did. That speech he gave was in our group, was to our campus group, and he had film, slides, he tried to explain what all the medical reasons are for these terminations. And I really feel we need an education in this country so that commentators who, that was really a diatribe against then Governor Sebelius. It wasn't really about what a medical reason for abortion is. We've got to take this out of the political arena, and more doctors and nurses have to stand forth and say why this is necessary for women's survival and health. I mean, this
I think it might surprise people to know